seems like we have a fascination with the end of the world for some reason. You know, like 2012 was a movie, you know, about the Mayan, getting back to the Mayan calendar. There is this, the Mayan calendar ends the year 2012. So many people believe at the end of 2012, that's when the world went. You know, so that's when their calendar ended, right? I did a little bit of studying this when I was in the Yucatan, and it is very fascinating. I think if there is one prediction to believe in, if you had to believe in one, this is probably the best thought out one, you know. I mean, better than Nostradamus, but I don't believe in these types of predictions of end of the world, what have you, because no one really knows, right? And there's only one entity that knows, and he's up there. But no, I don't think no one on earth can tell you when it's ever going to end. So 2012 was interesting. It's one of these disaster movies, and it focuses in California. The main character is in California. John Cusack is the main actor. And it's fascinating just to sit there on the big giant screen and watch your home state just fall into the ocean. You know, you're like, wow. You know, California is just falling into the ocean. It's like, interesting. You know, entertainment. And one thing I liked about the movie is something that you do not see in a lot of American movies, believe it or not, is some of the main actors were actually Russian characters. And in the States, you don't see a lot of that. Especially since after '89, you don't see many Russian characters at all. Before '89, most of the Russian characters were always the bad guys in American movies. You know, the communists were always the bad guys. That's just how it was. That's how American films were made. But this was actually the first movie I watched where the Russians were actually the good guys. You know, and one of the Russian characters was a very rich Russian, what do you call them? Someone who's very rich. Oligarch, yeah? Oligarch? Oligarch, yeah, okay. And he had twin sons, and he had a blonde model girlfriend, right? Is that the typical stereotype? Is very rich, and he had his house in California and everything, you know. And when the disaster started to hit, you know, he had to escape, and him and the Russian characters and the American characters combined forces, worked together to survive, and really I was happy to see that, because I'll tell you, traveling here, because I want to travel here more, but you know, for an American, I do a lot of traveling, you know, to like Europe, United Kingdom, England, because I have a lot of family in England, and I can buy a ticket to England 3 hours before the flight, jump on the flight, I'm in England 10 hours, no problem. It's like me flying to New York, no big deal. You know, but to get to Russia, you have to go through the embassy, you have to file all these forms, you have to do all these things. And I'm filling out the form, and it says, have you ever served in the military? No. Do you know how to make plastic explosives? Oh no. You know, do you know how to detonate and defuse bombs? No. But I'm thinking to myself, even if I knew how to create bombs, yeah. Exactly. So it's like, yeah. What do you expect me to say? Yes? I mean, come on. I think if I knew how to make a bomb, I'm still going to say no. Yeah. Yeah.
There are a lot of questions about the terrorism act. For example, I want to get to make the terrorism act in America.
Yeah.
But there are PC. If you ask that yes, it's not mean you not get visa.
But who's going to say yes anyway?
It's big controversial.
Exactly. But who's going to say yes? Yeah, my so you know, I fill all this paperwork, and I have on my Facebook page, I speak to many people, you know, from Russia, and I tell them maybe I'll just run in the next election for president, and my whole issue will be no visas for Eastern Europe or Russia. They can just come and go whenever they please, because it'll make it easier for me to get here. Because I'll tell you, I just can't stand filling out all this paperwork. I don't see it necessary anymore at all. And I said once that if I was president, I would have people from Latin America have to fill out American visas. But for Eastern Bloc and Russians, they don't need visas. And the reason why is we get a lot of people from Mexico coming into California. And it has really put a stranglehold on the economy. And the state's bankrupt, you know, and we did everything possible to stop it. We even elected an actor twice, you know, to try to fix the problem. But, you know, it's not happening because the United States is, they're very much into helping people. So when you have illegal immigrants come, well, what they did crossing the border is illegal. It's against the law. But they can come and get free health care, which they can get, it's called Medi-Cal. So what America does, believe it or not, what you hear in the media, we do have free health care for people who can't afford it. They get free medical and they get free housing and all these things, and you sit there and say, well, the government's paying for all this, but they're all illegal. So that's why they don't stop coming, they just continue to come. And it's really puts a hampering on things, you know. So that's that. So if I can stop visas, I would, because I would love just to jump on a plane to Russia without filling out anything, you know. But you know, it cost me, my last visa was like $250, you know. So and then the ticket was good. The ticket was only $700. But that's because I'm coming in March and nobody comes in March, right? Everyone comes in June or July when the weather's really nice and 30 Celsius, I think it gets here. No, not that much. Okay. Yeah. So hopefully in the summer. I'll come
People receive $50 only in Russia.
Oh really?
Yes.
What a
So
deal.
we have that little payment.
What a deal.
Yes, and all people receive such money.
Well, I would like to know enough of me because I talk too much. And and I mentioned,
It's not enough.
yeah, it's not. I mentioned this in the lecture that Californians, I'm sure Tom could attest to this. We just constantly talk. I mean, constantly. I mean, it's you come to California and you sit at a Starbucks outside. You know, paint the image for you. It's about 30 Celsius. You're wearing your sunglasses. You're just wearing a very light top. You know, and just very short shorts, and you're sitting there in the sun drinking, you know, a fruit drink or something, or some coffee, and someone asks just a simple question like, what are you doing today? And the person from California will go on for an hour or two, say, oh, I'm doing this and this and this, and this. It just doesn't stop, you know, and that's just how we are. We're just very
You are a
talkative.
conversation who is waiting to happen.
Absolutely, yeah, conversation waiting to happen. Yeah, so that's what it's like. But
In literature club, we're talking about 3.5 hours.
really,
And about literature.
wow.
About the things who and how it something get reason.
Really?
Really.
Wow. So yeah, but I don't know if I ever want to leave California. I mean, I was born and raised there, but you know, when like I travel to England, you know, and it's raining the whole time I'm there, and I come back and it's just blue skies. I fly over to see the Golden Gate Bridge and I practically kiss the ground. You know, because the thing is, if you leave California, you have to leave for good. Because it is so expensive there, it's hard to get back in. And most people, they get into the state if they know somebody. If you don't know anyone in California and you're starting from ground zero, it's very difficult to get in there, you know. But if you get into California and you get a job, then you'll do all right, you know. I've heard some things of how much people get paid here, and it blows my mind. You know, it just blows me away. When I hear a receptionist who answers phones only makes $500 a month, it blows my mind away. Because in the States, they're making, you know, $50,000 a year, you know. in California, you have to at least make 80,000 a year, or you're just not doing it. There are people, you know, who make, you know, 40,000 a year, but they live in a one-bedroom flat, and that's it. Here in Moscow, I have to tell you, I was just amazed at these giant tall buildings with all these windows and all these things, and just, I was like, wow, amazing. And I said, what are these places? Oh, people live in them. I'm like, in these tall buildings, yeah, those are apartments. We don't have that in California. An apartment is maybe 4 units with green gardens around it and a carport. You know, we don't have these just hundreds of flats. It was just, it fascinated me. You know, so, and then to find out how much they cost is amazing. You can get a 2-bedroom flat in California for like $2,000 a month, and that's probably very cheap. I mean, you know, compared to here, right? Because this is the 3rd most expensive city in the world, right? You can get a 1-bedroom flat in California for like $850 a month. You know, I live in a small town called Newman, California. There's, I don't know, maybe 2,000 people live there. I moved there specifically for writing because I feel you need a very quiet place to write with not a lot of distractions. But then I realize it's not necessary because when I write, I just put on my earphones and block out the world anyway, so I can live in New York City and it really wouldn't matter. But this small town, Newman, a flat, the 2-bedroom flat is like $500, you know, so it's very inexpensive. But if you live in LA, well then it's more expensive. But most people want to live in LA, they want to live in San Francisco, they want to live in the big cities, you know what I mean? In LA, if you're writing, if you're into literature, if you do writing, I don't know, how many people actually write? Do any of you write at all, short stories? I know the last, when I was here a little bit, when I was at the lecture, there was a couple of people who approached me after who are writers, and they want to get published, you know, and that's why they came, and I told them, well, if you're gonna write, especially screenplays, California, Los Angeles is the place you want to be. And the main question, the number one question you're always asked is, well, how do you get into the movie industry? How do you start writing screenplays? It's very simple. You just write one. Just get it copyrighted and send it. You're in the movie industry. That's all you need. That's all you need to do. You don't need to go to some giant university like MSU or Harvard or something like that. You just write a script, you like it, you send it to an editor, oh yeah, it looks good, get it copyrighted, send it to a production company. Right there you're in the movie industry. You go to Los Angeles, you go to like a coffee shop, the waiter, the cook, the cashier, the person at the other booth in front of you, the person in the booth behind you, the people walking out of the restaurant, people walking in the restaurant, they're all in the industry. They're all want to be actresses, they all want to be actors, they all want to be writers, they all want to do something. Because everyone who goes to Los Angeles, they all try to be in the industry. That's what it's all about, you know. Unfortunately for LA, it's a tough city. And you get a lot of, I'm sure Moscow has the same problem, but you get these young girls right out of high school, 17, 18 years old. I want to be an actress. I want to be the next Scarlett Johansson, you know? I'm better looking than she is. If she can do it, why can't I? So they come from Nebraska, Iowa, these small town places, these you know, states, and they come to California, they come to LA, and LA just eats them alive. Because they don't know how to survive the big city element. I don't know if Moscow has that same problem. But I think being a writer, it's easier than going there and trying to be an actor or an actress. There's much more competition in the acting industry than in the writing industry. And to be an actor or an actress, unfortunately, you have to be pretty good looking to get a job. unless you're a character actor. But then even though you'll be pegged in just in certain roles. But you have to be extremely good looking, and you have to know how to act. And you have to be somewhat talented. I have to admit, I think there are some people in the industry, especially the music industry, that I feel have no talent at all, but they are pumping out millions of dollars, like Britney Spears for one. Okay, if there's Britney Spears fans here, I apologize, but I think she has no talent. She just doesn't know how to sing in my book. So I think being a writer is actually the easiest in LA. And it's not difficult to walk into a Starbucks and you see people writing. Before my laptop, I've only had my laptop for about a little less than 10 years. And I would do everything, in a journal. Write all my stories, all my scripts in journal form, type it on an old typewriter. I actually still have the typewriter. It's like late 50s. It's a real bad typewriter, and the ribbon keeps on getting stuck. It was just complete rubbish, right? And then I decided to get my laptop. But before my laptop, I'd walk into a Starbucks, and you see all these people, typing and trying to look intellectual, and they just like total snobs. You know what I mean? They're just so obtuse. They're just so like into themselves. Then I get my laptop, I'm at Starbucks. I'm like, oh shoot, I fell into it. You know what I mean? So, yes, no, I'm not a snob, no. But you just don't realize what people are doing until you get into
You
their
don't
world.
realize it's your snob.
Yeah, thanks, yeah. So,
It's a job.
yeah, I know. So yeah, you go to LA, you'll see many people, a lot of times, they're doing writing, things of that nature. Someone told me once, well, Dave, I want to move to Los Angeles, but I'm not in the movie industry. I just do business. Well, there's other things in LA too. But I'll tell you, the CEO running a big company in LA, I'm sure he was in LA when he first started. Didn't want to become a CEO. He probably wanted to be in movies. And it's funny. I don't know if any of you have been to California, but if you go to Disneyland, which is okay. I tell you what, I rather sit at a baseball game with a beer and a hot dog in the sun than walk around Disneyland. I'm really not an amusement park guy. I don't feel like waiting an hour in line to ride Space Mountain roller coaster, and being bumped in the chest by people. You know what I mean? Disneyland's really not my thing. But you get a lot of these actors who couldn't make it in Hollywood. And what are they doing? Well, they still consider themselves actors, but what are they doing? They're walking around in Mickey Mouse costumes. And then you meet them on the street. Oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm an actor. Oh, great. But they're just Mickey Mouse in a costume. They'll do anything that they can. One thing about Los Angeles is they like to turn books into movies. That's the latest thing. But if you're a writer, it's best to think of something in your mind, something original, and write the script. Because right now Hollywood, really they're not coming out with anything original. A lot of it is a lot of stuff already done, a lot of remakes, a lot of TV shows made into movies. I'm sure a lot of you guys didn't get this movie here, but there was a movie called Bewitched, which was a movie with Will Ferrell, which is just a remake of a TV show. They're really falling short of creativity there. There's not a whole lot in LA. It's just a lot of remakes and a lot of rehashing of things. So when I went to see Shutter Island at the Dome Theater there in Moscow, that movie was actually fantastic writing and fantastic storyline. So, but if you read a lot of books and you're not thinking about writing, think about, what you can do is read a book and try to see if you can make it to a screenplay. Challenge yourself. Always challenge yourself. I've been writing since I was 6. It's just something that I've always done. It's all I know what to do. I have to tell you, I come here and I see this statue. Like, oh, who's that? Oh, that's writer such and such. He was a writer, Russian writer. Go Pushkin Square. Oh, wow, Pushkin's a writer. Gogol, right? Well, statue of him. He's a writer. All these monuments of writers. I'm like, wow, this is a great place for me, I think. Because in California,
From here, if it was a library, you also see
yeah,
to see
Yeah.
faces.
yeah, but yeah,
You can look at them right in their eyes.
that's true. And but in California, nobody cares about records. Nobody, at all. We're really looked down upon. Okay. People I know in the IT industry, like computers. I have friends in computer companies. They look down at me. And they go, Dave, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just writing this script, or oh, I'm just finishing chapter 11 of my book. Dave, why don't you just get a real job? Go to work, do something. I'm working, I'm writing. Writing's not a job. Get up in the morning, make breakfast, drive to work, sit in a cubicle, take your lunch break, sit in a cubicle, drive home, go to bed. You sit at home all day, you do nothing. I'm writing, that's nothing. I go, well, my new book came out. Oh, great, Dave. There's 1 million books that came out every Tuesday.
You should be actor too.
Yeah, well,
You should be actor too.
yeah.
Have you tried that?
Actually, I have. You bring that up. Yeah, actually, I have.
Hopefully yourself.
Yeah. Nothing major. I did have an agent in San Francisco. I did some extra work. When I was 17, I did some small modeling stuff. I got out of that because I realized I'm not good looking at all compared to these guys who are up there like Brad Pitt. I mean, it's like, come on, forget about it. So I did some acting, just some small things, in movies, no speaking roles. I'd be the guy who you have the main actors talking, and all of a sudden you see this blur past them. Just some like a guy walking down the street. Well, that's what I did. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, you go. Oh, that's me right there. Yeah, Dave. Sure, right. Sit down. Get out of here. Yeah, right. So yeah, really it is. But yeah, I know. Yeah. So so I did some of that, and then I stopped after a while because my agent says, Dave, if you want speaking roles, you're gonna have to do something about your teeth. And it's a very personal thing with me. I don't have perfectly straight teeth. And the story behind that was when I was 8 years old, my dad tells me, well, you're gonna have to get braces. I said, I don't want braces because I won't be able to pick up on any girls. And he goes, you're 8 years old. I go, yeah, I'm 8 years old. I don't want braces because they'll make fun of me for 2 years. So I never got braces. So my agent said, well, you're gonna have to do something. I said, well, then I'm not gonna have to. That's it. And that was the end of that. And I did some stage stuff, a lot of improv, a lot of comedy. Most comedians, the reason why they do comedy is because in real life their life is just completely miserable. Like Jim Carrey, I don't know if any of you heard Jim Carrey. He was homeless as a kid. He had a very miserable life. His only escape was to make people laugh and to be funny, and yeah, I mean, I had a pretty good childhood, I mean, it wasn't the best, I had some downtime, but I did some comedy for a while, a lot of improv, stage stuff. I think one of my masterpieces was The Director. This was improv. Improv is you just make up whatever you want, whatever lines you want. The actors just kind of, you'll say one thing and then the actor you're acting with will think of something and respond to you. There's no script, right? It's like real time. And the director says, okay, we want something serious, family oriented, and here's the scene. Dave, you're playing the son, you're doing your homework at the table, and he mentions two other actors. You're the mother and the father, and two Girl Scouts. Girl Scouts are, I don't know if you know what Girl Scouts are. I don't know what the equivalent would be here, but they're like Boy Scouts. Yeah, Pioneer Girls, is that what they call me? Okay, Pioneer Girls, yeah, will knock on the door selling cookies, okay? So here I am, pretending to do my homework, and the two girls playing the Pioneer Girls, you know, I was like 17, 18 at the time, and, you know, they're 16, you know, whatever, you know, just teenagers, right? And, we're, you know, and they like fake knock at the door, and the mother answers, "Oh, Girl Scouts," and you know they start the scene. "Yes, we're selling cookies and this and that," and my whole job was to be the son pretending to do homework, and I kept like doing homework, then turning back to the girls playing the Pioneer Girls, and doing this and doing this. And I thought, well, the director wanted something serious, but how can this scene be serious? so I kept looking this. So then I was stopped, and I just started like checking out the Pioneer Girls. And I'm like, nice, like that, and like checking out. And then I was like, "Mom, why don't you invite the Pioneer Girls into the house?" So it turned into this whole big comedy thing where this teenage boy was picking up on the Pioneer Girls, you know, and the director was so upset. You know, he's like, "It's supposed to be serious." And I said, "Well, how can you make this scene serious?" And then after the scene, I didn't get the girls' numbers at the end of it, so it didn't work out for me either. But acting, if